people that don't even hand in as well, by the way. So I want to up that as much as I can. I've changed it a little bit what I'm talking about today. I'm going to give you a few more clues than last year's students. It's really important that you either film it, which is cool, right? Best of, or you take notes. Okay. Just be aware that because it's a live, I might be saying, so you've got to include cut and fill, whereas I might have meant fill and cut. Alright, so don't hold me to ransom over everything I say. But I'm doing my best to provide information to you guys that is correct as possible. Also with my demonstration I'm going to do in the next part, there might be a level that's slightly out of something. Don't hold me to ransom over that as well. I'm showing you the techniques to do it. So cross sections. Why am I even talking about cross sections? Why I've just spent a whole lecture on long sections. Surely they're very, very much the same. Well, in actual fact, they're not the same. Cross sections, I'm walking along in front of the class at the moment, and this is what a lot of you will be doing when you get work, not walking in front of class, walking along a road. And you'll have plans in your hands, and you'll have a whole bunch of cross sections, and you'll get to a mark on the ground, maybe 20, and you'll look at your cross sections, you'll look that way, and you'll look that way, and you'll check, maybe with a tape measure, that everything's looking pretty good, and you'll move on to your next section of road. Incidentally, why would you stop maybe in between, if you asked for contour cross sections every 20 metres, why would you stop maybe at 63.8?
If it's like
would be a good reason for stopping in between 20 metres.
If it's a platform or the site?
Platform, no. I like your thinking though. Quite there. It's like you just one number short of Lotto.
Oh yeah.
That's half the mark.
No suggestions? Okay. It's actually a question in the test. The surveyor will pick up an extra cross section if they decide that the earthworks is such that it makes a big difference to the volume calculation. So in other words, a huge mound of dirt or a great big gully on one side, which if you go another 20 metres you miss it completely. And if we're talking clay, Auckland clay, it's not such a big deal. But if we're talking, say, volcanic rock, it is. I got involved at one point in the earthworks for the Mount Albert Pack and Save back in the 1980s. We made our car park design, we got some dimensions wrong and we had to dig into the volcanic rock because the lava flow from Mount Albert came down right past where the Pack and Save was and down out towards Port Chev. Just to get an extra foot of rock out of the ground was very, very expensive. So you imagine that along a great big section of road and you haven't picked up a great big mound of rock. Take it one step further, schist, which is the South Island mountains. You need to dynamite that. So that is huge cost. So if you're a surveyor or you get sent out on a survey, always beware on your cross-section plans, does it look the way it is? Now, the only way you can tell if it looks the way it is if you have a cross-section that is at a scale of 1 to 1. In other words, no distortion. You wouldn't want a distortion of, say, 10, because if your drawing showed a building that was 10 stories high, and you looked over there and it was only 1 story high, you'd be doing this, wouldn't you? Or a retaining wall that was 10 metres high and it was only 1 metre high. So you don't want distorted cross sections. They don't really usually take the long section on site, they take the cross sections on site. Makes logical reason. So there's your first difference. Scales. Scales not distorted. The next difference is your drawing itself is at a scale of 1 to 50. If you look at assignment 2, it's 1 to 50. Cross sections are often a different scale. That means it's bigger. So what happens to your text? Changes. So does your arrow size. What size will it be now? I'm not going to tell you. Go back to week 1, look at your notes, do the mathematics to get the right size for a scale of 1 to 50. So for some of you that means, hey bro, what answer did you get? Guess what? There'll be questions like that in the test. Hey bro's got a lot to answer for in my class. Next one. The pipe. The offset from the pipe. It won't be distorted, it'll be the right length, right size. So the pipe is true. The platform backers are true. So that makes it really easy. We don't have that same problem as with the distorted. It's true. The next thing is the centre line of the platform or the centre line of the road, doesn't matter what it is. Now let's do that. Is where we take our distances from. So that becomes 0, 0, 5 metres, 10 metres, 4.95. The distances start at 0. This centre line continues down here to that point. So that's different than the long section. In the long section, it started on the left-hand side and went that way, didn't it? Distances. Why do we do it like that? Because that's how we set out cross sections. We always have a set out line. Obviously, if we can make it the centre of the road, we do. If we make it the centre of the platform, we do. It's not always that. You'd be stupid if you made your set out line, say you were doing a section of motorway by Green Lane, 6 lanes wide, you'd want your set out line probably on one side of the road. Otherwise you would kill everybody that tries to get across the road to start at the set out point, because you need your instrument set up on the set out point. So obviously your set out would be on the side, and then you let the chainman kill himself running across the road, okay? Not quite like that, but that's generally the way they do it if it's a roading job. If it's a roading job where there's not many cars around. If it's a roading job where there's a lot of cars around, to the side of the road. By the way, a bit of feedback from last semester on my teaching. There was a student complained that Roger puts roading in the job and in this subject, and it is not about roading. Well, that is not true. The learning outcomes for civil engineering drafting are roading, platforms, anything else to do with civil engineering. What the student should have said was he put roading in the notes, but we never got an assignment on roading. Now let me explain the differences and what happens with assignments on roading. Here's a road. In order to calculate where the batter slopes go, we have to mark off differences across here, and we have to come in like this from both sides. Where those points cross determines the batters, and sometimes it's extremely hard to do it. Where these points come in are the actual contour lines. The angle you have to calculate and predetermine. Have a guess what happened the first year that I put a road in as an assignment for students? Pass rate 30%. I've changed it to platforms to make it easier for you guys. Yet I get complaints about putting roading into the course. This is also a prerequisite for other subjects. On the diploma, the civil and structural drawings are prerequisite for highways, traffic, and for the project, because they put roads in it, and so I'm supposed to give an introduction into roads. So just clarifying that point. I don't really want to see that as a comment this time round. You're lucky this is not part of your assignment. You've got a much easier one to do because you have a square platform and you offset from the platform. Much better. You just have to work out what that offset is. In that case, you had to work out the angle, the offset, and where the intersections were and whether it was cut or fill. It was quite tricky. I will have some roading in today's class, and there will be questions in the test on it, and a lot of it's around cross sections. But I will point out quite a few questions. So you do need your pen and pencil ready, or yourself. Distances. There are also things that are very much the same. Hatching. You can use the same hatching. No worries. But don't use the hatching I said not to use. Don't use... I can't tell you that, can I? Because I've already told it to you. Don't use the 3 hatchings that I told you not to use underneath the platform. Make sure you put ground line hatching on. Make sure you put levels. Here's an example of a level that's really important. This is the sort of thing that happens with a cross section. Here's your cross section here. Here's your cross section through here. And here's your pipe. I think the pipe goes, does it go this way? Something like that. Is that right? Okay. Doesn't matter whether it does or doesn't. I'm going to show you why what that's going to look like. So we're looking through that way. The cross section comes through there, so it's going to be behind us over here and in front of us over here. And that's where it slices through. Can someone confirm which way the pipe goes compared with that cross section through the middle? Better have a quick. Is my sketch plan there?
It goes from
Does it go that way or that way?
not the first way.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes this way. So looking at that, it's going to cut through there. So the pipe is going to, on the right hand side, is going to be dashed. Remember communications? If you don't cut through it, but it's in the distance, it's dashed in the ground. Then you hit the bit where it's cutting through, so there's going to be a solid line where it cuts through. And then here, it's behind me, so you don't worry about it at all. So it stops like that. That symbol there looks like this. Anyone know what it means? It means that the pipe carries on. You're probably going to be able to get the wetlands in there, the platform, and a little bit of the pipe, and that's going to be about it. You need to decide where it is. Because we're going in, it's a blow up, you're not going to fit it probably on the whole sheet. You're not going to get to the manhole. But it would be really nice to put a note here. Pipe continues to manhole. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. What happens at the manhole? There's an invert level. Does the person reading that know what it is? No. So you need to put the invert level on there. Pipe continues to manhole, invert level, blah, blah, blah. Is that enough? No. What's the invert level? What's the top of the manhole level? You don't know that yet because most of you haven't even drawn it on. That should be another thing you include on there. And there's more things to include as well. But that's the sort of thing you should be thinking about when you're doing your cross sections. We're duplicating some of the information and putting it on here. So enough to do about that. I'm going to now show you some examples which I've got on Moodle, and I want to explain to you the good, the bad and the ugly. Okay? So there are some good points about it, but there's also some very poor things to do.